Vanishing of Ethan Carter has been the most visually and atmospherically pleasing game I've played this year so far. I mean, just look at this! It's stunning, and I really want to credit the developers, the Astronauts, on making such a beautiful looking game, and I hope to see what they have in store in the future. I want to say this now, because the rest of the video is going to be a lot of complaining about things I didn't like about The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It really sucks that the aspects that I loved the most about this game really don't need explaining. Running around the game world was such a blast, and I pretty much walked every inch of this game just absolutely taken away. Taken away is not an expression I would use for its gameplay and story, however. And it kind of bothers me, because this game was so close. I really thought this was going to be the game where, you know, here's a great game that I really enjoyed all the way through, and it's not. So, maybe next time. Maybe next time. There are these really cool murder flashback puzzles that you get, I think, 4 times throughout the entire game, and they're pretty interesting because you have to kind of show the chronology of each scene. However, besides the first one, the rest were very obvious and easy because they were placed in such a way that the events that happened in such a linear fashion that they were almost too obvious. They're not really puzzles at that point. The first one was really clever and great, and it's disappointing that the rest weren't as solid as the first one. Besides the chronology puzzles, there were probably 4 other puzzles in the entire game. There's this one, which was so bad that I ran away despite actually having the answer in front of me. Yeah, I'm running. I'm just going to keep running right there. Yep. One puzzle has you placing rooms in a house in the correct place. That one was cool. Messed that one up a lot. I'm not going to lie. Messed that one up a lot. I also thought this puzzle was really funny. Like, they literally go, Corvus! And you just put that down on the bottom of the floor and you're done. Last puzzle of the game. It's kind of silly. It's really funny, too, because the beginning of the game says they're not going to hold your hand, you know? Like, okay. Before I just outright completely spoil this game for anyone that wants to play it, I just want to say, I heard that this game got a lot of praise for having the H.P. Lovecraftian influences, and you know, I'm just not seeing it. Like, I get that there's some imagery right here where it's a giant squid underwater, and it's kind of this is definitely H.P. Lovecraft imagery, but the entire game is not this. This is like one little section that doesn't really amount to anything once you know what the actual game's about. I felt a bit tricked when I started playing and I realized that this was not a major part of the actual game. I mean, there's some, like, science fiction imagery in here too, and I didn't hear anyone, like, praise this for being like, oh, it's totally a Robert Silverbergian game, you know? Like, come on. The imagery served a purpose, and the purpose was that Ethan Carter was manifesting all of this, that was kind of his power. It didn't really matter that, oh, it's an H.P. Lovecraft scene. It was the fact that he had read that book, and he was writing his own stories almost mimicking that style. If you were going to attribute this game to anyone, stylistically, it would have to be M. Night Shyamalan, because that was the whole point. That was the twist, is that you play this character named Paul Prospero who's going out looking for Ethan Carter, and at the end of the game, you realize that Paul Prospero is just another one of Ethan Carter's story, and that he's playing his own role. Everything that you've played up to that point, everything about the sleeper demon that's possessing his parents and family, that was all fake. That was his last story before he died. And Ethan Carter was there to send him off, basically. It's a sweet story at the end, but I personally was not really fond of it. I liked all these mysteries, and having it completely explained at the end, it was so cliche. Disappointed me. I felt that this game was going to have a much bigger story than it did. I don't regret playing it, but for $20, I mean, I guess for $20, I got an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but I got to play it. And, you know, movie prices these days is pretty expensive, so, you know what? It was legit, I guess. But I do wish that the developer's story was as strong as their visuals.